So thank you very much, Yahua. I think as this is the last presentation, I think we proceed and take some discussions and questions and so on. And
that's very good.
Professor Yen raised one question here at the chat about the coal, and I can just add a little on that. I know that South Africa has been principally independent of energy import due to the coal. And at the same time, you can see that you have a lot of sunshine. I'm not sure about the wind. It's not so windy, but a lot of sunshine. So how come that so little still has been done with relation to sunshine? Is it more that the authorities are a bit conservative, or is it pure economy, or what is the reason why the transfer has been so slow?
Yes, I think that it's been, so we've got this energy plan that goes into 2030. And then in that plan, there's a very, very good proposal of introducing more of these renewables, including solar. So I think that there's already a large amount of rolling out, both at industrial level, but also at the domestic level, but obviously not to a good level, so that everybody is happy about. But there are multiple reasons for this. I think that if you ask me for my personal opinion, I think that Eskom, which is the electricity utility, I think that the monopoly of Eskom put a lot of obstacles for the uptake of this renewable. So there's been about, I think, 20 years of discussion, maybe a bit longer, of dismantling Eskom into 3 companies: the generating and transmission and the distribution. So you see that I think that on the generation side, people can participate a lot, even with government or other initiative with renewables. But so the current regulation does not allow us to have the renewables coming into the transmission line. So then no matter how much you generate and how good your system is, you have to sell it to Eskom. So which I believe is the biggest obstacle. So because they are not monopoling into generation, but also monopolizing on a transmission and the distribution side. So I think that the real uptake will happen if we have something separate or separated operated transmission line or separate the market. So I think that, but obviously there are other reasons like financial reasons. But I think that if I would say what is the real reason of the lagging behind of this uptake of renewables is, I think it's the monopoly of Eskom. That's the biggest.
Yeah, I also have heard the same thing. So I think it sounds a bit reasonable. If you have a monopoly, you don't want to change things as easily as if you don't. There has been 2 other questions. The first one was about supercapacitors in relation to batteries. And now I can't get it up. I had it here. For some reason it disappeared. But it was about this. If you look for a supercapacitor, could you principally combine? I know if you have a flow battery, sometimes you say that a flow battery is somewhere in between a supercapacitor and a normal battery. Have you considered those type of aspects when you have 2 liquids and a membrane separating them? How you can utilize principally the same thing both as a battery and as a supercapacitor?
Yeah, we have. I think we use the hybrid system for 2 cases in our projects. So one of them is to harvest the solar energy. So we have the normal battery, but then on top of the normal battery, then we have a supercapacitor, which is much faster, and then for two purposes. So that system, that hybrid system, firstly is to improve the power quality. The secondly, it actually harvests about 5% more of the solar energy. So we do have that one. So it's a hybrid system consisting of a normal lithium-ion battery with a supercapacitor, and then you have a controller that controls the power flow, and depending on the fluctuation of the solar. So this is one application. And then the other application is that we have an electrical vehicle, which has got it's got a normal battery, the lithium-ion battery, but we also put a supercapacitor on top of that one. And then the purpose of that one is to also to get this. I think it's more for the riding comfort, because when you go into a bumpy road, and then probably you use the supercapacitor a bit more than the lithium-ion battery. So I think that we've got these two cases that both of them is with hybrid batteries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but because it is interesting. You have a lot of different types of technologies, but basically they are quite similar, but you can make them in different ways, and then you can get quite different properties. And sometimes we are focusing on one property, but if you could switch it slightly, you could get, as you said here, significantly better outcome.
Yes.
There is another question from Xianan Wang about the energy research here. Have you seen any change in the research direction to face the COVID-19?
Yes. Shannon, thank you very much for the question. Yesterday, I listened to your talk and also the panel. So it actually opened my eyes that in facing COVID-19, so that it actually researched, opened us new opportunities in terms of research. I must admit that I haven't thought about this, because yesterday was the eye-opener for me. So I think that I'm going to put more thoughts to this one. So maybe there's new challenges in terms of COVID-19. So we should learn from you guys. So I think yesterday I was with the whole session. I was very, very, very impressed with the session. But thank you for the question. But maybe we can pick up this conversation a bit afterwards.
Yeah, we have another thing, and that is this energy versus power transmission. You have a lot of heavy industries up in the northeast corner, I guess, and you have a lot of cities around the whole coastline and so on. But the question is, while you are producing the power, I guess you have a lot of electrical power produced also on the east side. I guess, to my knowledge, it's much less to the west. How is it about transmission and the grid stability and so on?
Yeah, you are right. I think most of the coal-fired power stations are in the what you said, the northeast. But in this Cape Town area, I think power is also there's also good power, because there's a nuclear power plant. Okay. I think generally the stability of the network is very good. I think that's the strong side of that transmission system. I think that over the years, these offload of but remember that also to this side of the world, to Cape Town, on the coast areas, we've got also quite a big pump storage systems. So then it also balanced the load. So I think in terms of the transmission, in terms of balancing and stabilization of the network, is actually quite good.
Now, it was we had bit cooperation with Sunetra Chaudhary, who you were presenting here in your presentation. Okay. And so I've been evaluating a few of her master thesis works, or her students, and one of them was about renewable energy and the grid stability. And the conclusion was principally that if you're having more of this local production, you actually will stabilize the grid, because then you have too many central production units, and the grid is a bit weak on the outskirts, and then the renewables could actually support instead of doing the opposite, as we're normally talking about in many other places.
Yes, that's an interesting one. Yes.
I have another question regarding the you have publications results. If you can, Xiaohua, if you can share the one picture I upload in the chart, this energy intensity. Can you share this file?
Which one?
If I upload one picture file which I extract the data, or I can share. If you stop your screen share, I can share the screen.
Okay, so I'm going to stop, and then you can share.
Yeah, it's a very interesting curve. Who is happy? I can share. Yes. Let's see. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, just because when you show the results analysis, which I just make quick extraction from database, and you show the trends of efficiency change, even we use energy intensity by economy. And very interesting, because you show China, Iran has increased publication. But when I say this trend, in fact, if we look at Iran, the efficiency, in fact, get worse.
Yes.
I feel how this academy and also the industry, how they connect to each other. Of course, others fit very well, like South Africa and China, and also other developed countries, OECD countries, and the world, US, European Union, and Japan. So it's, if you have any opinion regarding the number of publication and also the something.
Yeah, so this one I cannot explain, but maybe you see that China at this curve. So it comes from a very bad situation in 1990s, but also the speed of the improvement is dramatic. I think that one maybe it positively correlates to the number of publications or the research effort.
Yeah.
I don't know, Iran is totally against that trend in terms of publications.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. So maybe Iran is, economically, they are doing even greater than China.
I have no idea. When I saw this, I always figure out if this publication really make impact in their country for improving the energy efficiency. It's only Iran is a little bit different trend. Yeah, but
I think they have a very different political situation in Iran that is probably causing some problems when it comes to this.
Yeah, so that's
okay,
just.
so you've got some guy, I guess, that answering your question for Iran.
Yeah.
It has two trends: fuel and gas subsidies and economic sanctions leading to large GDP losses. And then formal increased energy intensity directly, and then later decreases GDP. So maybe these two parameters tells you something.
I think that can be true, yes.
Yep.
See here, there was a new question on the chat. For Iran, Mohammed Ansarin, for Iran, two trends, fuel and gas subsidies. You were repeating that. We will see. I think in Iran, you have a tradition to be very interested in doing research and academics and so on. So I guess it has sustained, although a lot of other things have deteriorated. So that may be the reason also. You have a lot of Iranian students coming out all over the world at different universities and so on.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, that's true, actually. Iran has a significantly high number of publications per capita compared to other countries in the region.
And I think it is old tradition, or it's very positive to do academic research in Iran, as far as I can see it.
Indeed, yeah, it's been this way for many, many years. So economic sanctions have been really influential, maybe in the past 5 or 10 years, but the publication thing goes back 30 years at least.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Is there any other questions around the South African energy situation, or does anyone have any other point? If not, perhaps it's time to close this session. And once more, I just thank you very much for an interesting presentation. I guess this study you have been doing in South Africa could be a bit inspiration also for other countries to do. So it's more a methodology-wise thing also, not only that it's South African. And I think supercapacitors, very interesting. And we are talking about batteries all the time, but I think supercapacitors should not be forgotten. I think you have a great challenge to really get rid of all the coal, and if you can manage it, it will be excellent. And you have a lot of possibilities when it comes to, you are producing a lot of metals, and you are producing a lot of minerals and things like that, that could be used for all those, to produce all these different type of renewable energy technologies. So that is a positive side of it. So with that, thank you very much, and thank you everyone who has been listening to this presentation as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Xiaohua.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.